signal norm. Sorry, system norm. Okay, so the gain of a system quantifies the attenuation or amplification. Okay, the attenuation or amplification provided by the system. Provided by the system between the inputs and outputs. Between the inputs and outputs. Okay, so system norm will give you a measure of this thing. So there are mainly two types of system norms. One is called the H2 norm, and the second one is H infinity norm. Okay, H2 norm and H infinity norm. This will characterize the system gain. Okay, so first one is what is H2 norm? What is this H stands for? H stands for Hardy space. Okay, we need not bother too much about the mathematical intricacies. All systems, as far as we are concerned, our systems will be satisfying all the properties corresponding to a Hardy space. Okay, so we need not bother about too much about the mathematical intricacies of this thing. So H2 norm. Let G of S be the transfer function. Be the transfer function. Of a stable SISO LTI system. What is SISO? What is SISO? SISO means single input, single output. Okay, we are considering a single input, single output case. There is one input U of t, say gain G, and there is one output Y of t. Okay, so what will be Y of t? Y of t will be G into U of t, or rather, if this U of S, I can write this as U of S, and the Laplace transform will be Y of S. So I can write Y of S as G into U of S. Okay, so one input and one output. That is what is SISO, single input, single output. What is LTI? LTI means linear time invariant systems. Okay, LTI means linear time invariant. Linear time invariant. What is a linear system? Make it fast. Control system guys at least must be knowing. What's a linear system? A system is said to be linear if it obeys. What?
Superposition.
Superposition principle and homogeneity property. Right? That is what is a linear system. So we are considering a stable SISO LTI system. What do you mean by stability? When do you say system is stable? Suppose you have a transfer function like this. Okay, G of S equal to S plus 1 divided by S plus 2 into S plus 3. Is this stable or not? This
yes,
is
sir.
A stable system. Why it is stable? Because all the poles. What are poles? Poles are those values of S which make a transfer function infinite. That means S is equal to -2 and S equal to -3 are poles. Okay. So if all the poles are in the left half of the S plane, in this left half, then the system is said to be stable. Okay. If all the poles are in the left half of the S plane, the system is said to be stable. Okay. So we are considering a stable SISO LTI system, G of S. Right. So what is transfer function? How transfer function is defined? What is transfer function? Transfer function is defined as ratio of Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input. Okay. So this is my transfer function. G of S is ratio of Laplace transform of output, Y of S. So initially my output was Y of t. When you take the Laplace transform, you get Y of S. To Laplace transform of the input signal, U of S. Okay. Now assume that my input signal is an impulse input. Okay. So R of t is delta of t. Okay. So Y of S divided by what is the Laplace transform of R of t, delta of t? What is the Laplace transform? Come on.
One.
Okay. So transfer function is also defined as the Laplace transform of the inverse response. What is Y of S? Y of S is the response. Okay. When the input was a inverse signal. Okay, so in two ways, transfer function has been defined, right? It is the ratio of Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input when all initial are 0, or it is nothing but the Laplace transform of y of s of the impulse response. Okay, so here straight away I can write like this. G of s is the impulse response, is the Laplace transform of the impulse response. G of t. Okay, because G of s means L of G of s. Okay, so that means G of t is the impulse response. Okay, so H2 norm of G of s is the L2 norm of the impulse response. L2 norm of its impulse response. That is how it's defined. Okay, keep in mind L2 norm is defined for a signal, whereas H2 norm is for a system. Okay, so H2 norm of a system G of s is defined as the L2 norm of the impulse response. That can be written like this. The 2 norm of system, this is integral be a root of integral 0 to infinity G of t square dt. If you remember, that is how we have defined the 2 norm. Okay, the root of integral 0 to infinity u of t square. If you look back to the previous definition, how we defined the 2 norm. Okay, so this is what is the 2 norm, H2 norm for a system. Okay, it is the L2 norm of the impulse response. So you see G of t is in time domain. Everything is as a function of time. How can we represent it in frequency domain? There's a theorem called Parseval's theorem. Okay, by Parseval's theorem, H2 norm is defined in the frequency domain as root of 1 by 2 pi integral minus infinity to plus infinity mod gj omega square d omega. Okay, d omega, right? You see now it is g of j omega. That means now it is a frequency domain. Okay, your s is a complex variable, sigma plus minus j omega. This is what is s plane. Okay, where omega is the frequency in radians per second, right? So in frequency domain, the H2 norm of the system is defined like this: 1 by 2 pi integral minus infinity to infinity mod g omega square d omega. Okay, so this is finite. This is a finite quantity. The 2 norm is a finite quantity if and only if g of s is strictly proper. What do you mean by that? Finite. If and only if g of s is strictly proper. Strictly proper. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by strictly proper? Suppose you have a transfer function. G of s equals s plus 1. Is this proper, by proper, improper, or anything else? Any idea? What do you mean by properness? Properness means degree of denominator minus degree of the numerator. That is how we define properness. Okay. So what's the degree of what is the denominator here?
1.
1. Okay. S plus 1 means s plus 1 by 1. Okay. So degree of numerator is greater than that of the denominator, right? So this is an improper transfer function. Okay. Improper means degree of numerator is greater than degree of denominator. Degree of denominator. Okay. Proper means degree of numerator can be less than or equal to that of degree of denominator. Strictly proper means degree of numerator is less than that of degree of the denominator. Okay, so this H2 norm of the system is finite if and only if g of s is strictly proper. That means denominator degree must be greater than that of the numerator. Are all of you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is why this is strictly, if G of S is strictly proper, then the H2 norm is finite. Okay. Not only that, and it should have no poles on the imaginary axis, and should have no poles on the imaginary axis. Okay, then G of T will be a finite quantity. Okay. Now, what we consider here, our G of S was a seesaw transfer function. Now, suppose G of S is a MIMO case. Okay, so that is what I am representing like this. G hat of S. So G hat of S means it is a matrix. Okay, say G hat, I can write like this. G hat may be something like G11, G12, etc. G21, G22. Right? It's a matrix now, right? So that kind of thing. So if G hat is a stable and strictly proper transfer function, matrix of dimension P cross M. There are P rows and M columns. Okay, then H2 norm is defined as root of integral 0 to infinity trace of G hat transpose GT. Okay, this is also equal in frequency domain. It will be root of 1 by 2 pi integral minus infinity to infinity trace of G hat of J omega transpose G hat of J omega. Okay, what do you mean by trace? Trace means sum of the diagonal elements. Okay, trace means sum of diagonal elements, right? So if your G hat of S is a MIMO transfer function, multi-input, multi-output transfer function, then our H2 norms defined like this: integral root of 0 to infinity trace of G hat transpose G hat of T. Okay. Now how to compute this? Computing H2 norm. So we'll start with the definition. What is the definition? Root of integral 0 to infinity trace of blah blah blah. Okay. So G of S, G hat of S, the H2 norm G hat of S is 0 to infinity trace of G this thing transpose G hat T. Okay. Now, suppose, do you know what is state space transfer function? What is state space form? Instead of modeling a system in transfer function form, we can have an equivalent way of representing that in what is called the state space form. Okay, state space form is that you represent your system like this: x dot equals ax plus bu, y equals cx plus du. Okay, say for example, you consider one transfer function y of s by r of s equals say 5 divided by s square plus 3s plus 2. Okay, so how can we represent this in state space form? You just cross multiply this thing. What will you get? S square y of s plus 3s y of s plus 2y of s equals 5 r of s. Okay, so s square, what is s in time domain? S in time domain is equivalent to what? D by dt. Okay, so you will get y double dot t plus 3y dot t. What is the meaning of y dot? dy by dt. Okay, 3y dot t plus 2y of t equals 5 r of t. Okay, now what will you do? We will define y of t as x1, a state variable x1. So what will be y dot t? Tell me, what is y dot t? x1 dot t. Okay, I will call that as x2 of t. Fine. Now what is y double dot t? Y double dot t will be x2 dot t. Should I call that as x3? No. Why? Because states variables are the minimum set of variables that are necessary to describe a system. Okay. So from this equation, from this equation, what will be our y double dot t? Y double dot t will be minus 3 y dot. Instead of y dot, I can write in terms of x2. So minus 3 x2 t. Then minus 2, instead of y of t, I can write x1 of t plus 5 r of t. Okay. So now I can represent the system like this. x1 dot t, x2 dot t equals some matrix into x1, x2 plus some other matrix into u of t. Okay. Now what is x1 dot t? x1 dot t is x2. That means 0, 1, 0. What is x2 dot t? Y double dot t is x2 dot t. So this is x2 dot t. So x2 dot t will be equal to what? Minus 2 minus 3. And there's an input term, that is 5. And what is the output? What will be the output? Y of t? Y of t will be some this thing into x1t, x2t plus some other matrix into u. So what is our y of t? That was x1. That means 1, 0. There is no control signal there in y of t term. So it will be 0. So this is what is called A matrix. This is called the A matrix, right? This is called the B. This is C and this is D. That is what I wrote here. X dot equal to AX plus BU and output Y equals CX plus DU. Why here our B matrix is a single, is a vector, column vector instead of being an array? Any idea? Come on. What my question is, why our B is a vector, not an array?
It's SISO.
It is a single input. That's only one input is there, single input. Okay. Similarly, C is a row vector. It's not an array. Had there been multiple inputs and multiple outputs, your B and C would have been arrays of appropriate dimensions. Okay. So instead of G of S, so you see, this was my G of S. So the same transformation has now been represented in state space form. Okay. A, B, C, D form. Okay. So it is easy to compute H2 norm if you have the transformation in state space form. Okay. So how is the transformation and state space related? Do you know? Do you have any idea? How are they related? X dot equals AX plus BU. Y equals CX plus DU. Aerospace guys, are you following me? Aerospace people are there?
So state space represents.
Yeah, are you getting me what I'm saying?
The last sentence I didn't understand.
Which one? Which one? Feel free to interact. Okay, no need to hesitate. Which one didn't understand properly?
Y of t, sir.
Sorry.
Y of t, I didn't.
See, y of t. It just comes from this definition. We had started with y of t only. Okay. In state space, see, transformation is unique. But state space, there are infinite state space models. Okay, so one way of getting a state space representation is you define your output variable as a state variable, x1. Okay, so see here our differential equation has terms involving y dot and y double dot. So to start with, what you can do, you can define your output variable as a state variable, right? See here, on the left hand side we have x dot. It is not x double dot. Okay, so on the left side there should be first order derivatives, right? On the right side there should be corresponding interval term. If this is x dot, this has to be x. Okay, so once I define y of t as x1, my y dot t will be what? It will be x1 dot t, right? So since it has to be x dot, I will call this as x2, so that my y double dot becomes x2 dot. Okay, so I can club these single derivative terms onto the left hand side. So I will get x1 dot t, x2 dot t like this. And this is my x dot vector, what I have written here. Okay, this is my x dot t, right? So this is x dot, this is A matrix, and this is my vector x. So if this is x, then here we have to have x dot only. Okay, so always on the left hand side there should be a first order derivative. That's the basic idea behind state space. Any nth order differential equation can be broken down into n number of first order equations. First order differential equations. Okay, that's what we have done basically here. So you see, what is the order? What is the order of the transformation? It was second order. So we got a second order transformation. that has been broken down into two first order equations. What is x1 dot? x1 dot is x2. What is x2 dot? Minus 2 into x1 plus minus 3 into x2 plus blah, blah, blah. So the original second order differential equation has been broken down into two first order equations. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
So that is what we did. Okay. So now suppose that you have system in state space form, right? This is what is called the state space form. How will you find the transfer function? What is transfer function? Ratio of Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input. Okay. So how will you get transfer function from this? You have to take Laplace transform. So when you take Laplace transform of x dot, assuming zero initial condition, what will you get? S into x of s. Okay. Actually, that is the initial term, but to define transfer function, we ignore the initial condition. So you get s x of s equal to what? A into x of s plus b into u of s. Okay, let me take this a x of s term to the left side. So I can write this as s x of s minus a x of s equal to what? B u of s. Right? So if I want to take x of s common, what will I get here? Tell me. Tell me. What should be the quantity in the bracket? Si. Okay, because why it is Si? Because A is a matrix. Okay, so Si minus A. So what will be x of s from this? Si minus A inverse B u of s. Okay. Now what's the output equation? Take the Laplace transform. Y of s is equal to C into x of s plus D into u of s. Just substitute this here, x of s here. What will you get? C into Si minus A inverse B plus D. C into Si minus A inverse B plus D into u of s. Okay. So when you take finally the ratio y of s by u of s, what will you get? You will get C into Si minus A inverse B plus D. Okay. So once you know your ABCD matrices, you can obtain your transfer function like this. Okay. So now to compute H2 norm, it is easy. It is better to have the system in state space form. So what can I write here? Root of integral 0 to infinity trace of. So what will be my g hat t? Tell me. Any idea? What will be my g hat t from this? What will be my g hat t from this? So this is g of s. What will be g of t?
Inverse Laplace.
C into, what is the inverse Laplace of this? So keep in mind, we are considering a strictly proper transfer function, right? So if it is strictly proper transfer function, then D matrix will be 0 for a strictly proper transfer function. Strictly proper transfer, D matrix will be 0. So effectively, our G of S will be C into Si minus A whole inverse B. So what will be G of T from this? What is L of e raised to AT? 1 by
S minus A.
S minus A. Okay. So what is L inverse 1 by S minus A? E raised to AT. Okay. So here instead of A is a scalar here, right? But here A is a matrix. So when you take L inverse, what will you get here?
E power AT.
E raised to ATB. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Here A is a matrix, so you will get C into E raised to capital AT, right? So instead of G of T, I can write C E raised to AT here. C E raised to ATB. Transpose into C E raised to ATB dt. Okay. Now, how will if I take the transpose of this from matrix property? What will you get? 0 to infinity trace of. What will you get? What will be this? Tell me. AB transpose. What is that? B transpose, A transpose. Okay. So you will get B transpose, E raised to A transpose T into C transpose. into what? C e raised to at into b dt. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So now I can take the trace outside the integral part. So in trace of integral 0 to is trace of B transpose also I will take outside. Okay. B transpose. Oh, sorry. This bracket is trace of B transpose integral 0 to infinity e raised to a transpose t C transpose into C into e raised to at dt into B. I can write like this, right? I am just interchanging the integral sign. Okay, integral sign I'm taking to the inside of this bracket because these are all functions of time, e raised to a transpose t. Okay, so I can write like this. So this is nothing but this I can write like root of trace of B transpose QB, where my Q is integral 0 to infinity e raised to a transpose t C transpose C into e raised to at dt. What is this matrix called? Have you seen this matrix anywhere? This is called the observability Gramian. Maybe in your optimal control you will see observability Gramian matrix. Okay, so this Q is called observability Gramian matrix. And how will you get Q? By the solution of a Laplace Lyapunov equation, where Q is the solution of the Lyapunov equation. QA plus A transpose Q plus C transpose C equal to 0. Okay. So first what you have to do, you have to solve for Q matrix. Your A value, A and C you will be known because system will be given in state space form from which A and C are known. Out of from using that A and C, you have to calculate what is your Q matrix. Let us try one problem. Compute the H2 norm for x dot equals 0, 1, minus 10, minus 1 x plus 0, 1 u and y equals 1, 0 x. Okay. Compute. What will you do? First, you have to identify what are our A, B, C, D. Okay, what's our A here? A is this thing. Okay, what is B? B is this, and this is C, and D is 0. Okay, so what we have to first do? We have to first solve the Lyapunov equation to find what is Q. Okay, Lyapunov equation. QA plus A transpose Q plus C transpose C equal to 0. Okay, what's the size of A matrix here? Come on, what's the size of the A matrix?
2 cross 2.
2 by 2. A matrix is 2 by 2, right? 2 rows and 2 columns. Okay, so what should be the order of Q? What should be the order of Q?
Same 2 cross 2.
Same as A. Then only it will be compatible for multiplication, is it not? Okay, it should be same as the size of A matrix. Okay, so let me write this as Q11, Q12. Okay, so we are considering a matrix like this: Q11, Q12, Q21, Q22. Okay, so QA plus A transpose. So what will you get? 0, 1, minus 10, minus 1. A transpose into Q. Again, Q11, Q12, Q21, Q22. Plus C transpose. What is C transpose?
1, 0.
1 0.
1, 0. Okay. C transpose C. So 1, 0. What will be the next row? C transpose C, what will you get?
0, 0.
0, 0. Must be equal to what? 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. So you can solve for your Q11, Q12. Fine. Tell me what is your Q matrix? What did you get? Q11. What is Q11? 11 by 20. Vinu Preeti, what is Q11?
Sir, I'm doing it.
Make it fast. Gol Krishnan,
Yes, sir. Doing.
what is Q11?
Doing something.
Are you sleeping? What did you get? Suresh Sharma,
Yes, sir. Doing, sir.
make it fast. It's a very simple problem. Make it fast.
Sir, 11 by 20 and rest
11 by
all
20.
are,
Q11 is 11 by 20. What is Q12?
sir, all are rest 1 by 20.
1 by 20. That's right. 1 by 20. 1 by 20, 1 by 20, and 1 by 20. Okay. So now we have obtained Q. What's the question? Question is to find the H2 norm. So how will you find the H2 norm now? It is just trace of B transpose QB, root of. Okay. So H2 norm is H2 norm. It's nothing but root of trace of B transpose QB. What is that? Computer, tell me. B is given here, okay? So B transpose Q we had already found. It is 11 by 20, 1 by 20, 1 by 20, 1 by 20 into B.
One by 20.
1 by
20.
or 1 by root 20. Are you sure? Just check.
One by root 20.
1 by root 20, huh? It should be. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it should be 1 by root 20. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So alternately, there is one more way of finding H2 now. So what do we do? What was the definition of finding the H2 norm? It was root of this thing. Okay. So instead of writing like this, I can write define this way also. Integral 0 to infinity trace of G hat T into G hat T transpose T. That's also possible. Okay. So now we will see what we will get if we are following that thing. Okay. So this is 2 now. root of integral 0 to infinity trace of g hat into g hat transpose dt. Okay, so we know our what is g of t? G of t is, for a strictly proper transform, g of t is c into e raised to atb. Okay, so we can write it in that terms. Integral 0 to infinity trace of g hat. G hat becomes c e raised to atb into this transpose. So c e raised to atb transpose dt. Okay, so again as before, root of integral 0 to infinity trace of c e raised to atb. Hello. C e raised to atb into what will you get from here? It becomes b transpose e raised to a transpose t into c transpose dt. Okay, so again, as we did before, I can take c outside, right? Because c is a constant matrix. So I can write this as trace of c into integral 0 to infinity e raised to atb into b transpose e raised to a transpose t dt into c. Okay, and this is nothing but what is called the convolutive gramming, trace of c into p c transpose. Okay, where p is called the controllability gramming. Controllability Gramian, and it's defined as integral 0 to infinity e raised to atb into b transpose e raised to a transpose t dt. Can you try the same problem with this thing? You can do it as a homework, okay? That is definite, you will get that. You should get the same answer, okay? So now we will go to what's called singular values. So this is what is what is H2 norm. So now we will see what is singular value. Because to define H infinity norm, we should know what is the singular value. Okay? Singular values sigma I of a matrix A. Okay, singular value. A stands for a matrix, okay, or a system of a real or complex M cross N matrix A are the non-negative square roots of eigenvalues of AHA. What's the meaning of this? What is H? H means it's a complex conjugate transpose. Okay. X stands for complex conjugate transpose. Endo vendi? Every internal. Every sign. Just a moment. Okay, what is H? H means it is complex conjugate transpose. Suppose your matrix is say you have 3 plus J4, say 2 plus J3, then 1 plus J1, and 1 minus J1. Okay, in that case, H means complex conjugate transpose. That's the meaning. Complex conjugate transpose. Okay, so what are singular values? Suppose you have a matrix A, right? A equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You take the conjugate transpose of this matrix, multiply with that, multiply with A. So A transpose A you will get. Okay, find the eigenvalues of this thing. How will you find eigenvalue? How will you find eigenvalue of a matrix A?
So
Lambda
trace
I,
of,
sorry?
so from the trace and determinant we can find.
Or otherwise lambda I minus A equal to 0. This determinant, lambda I minus A equal to 0. That will give you the eigenvalues, lambda i's. Okay. So you find what is A transpose A, find the eigenvalues of that, take the square root of that. Okay, that is what is called singular value. Okay. So I think we'll stop here and continue the next class. Okay. We'll continue tomorrow. Huh?
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.